Today, we are going to watch an amazing movie released in 2025. Its name is Kraken. It is basically a survival thriller movie. Just think, if a terrible humanoid monster came to our world, and they took over all the oceans of the world and started destroying people one by one, then what would the situation on Earth be like? Suddenly, such terrible monsters started descending into the seas of our world, and they started destroying the people of the world. But what happened next? Were people able to destroy these terrible monsters? That is what we will see in today's movie. So let's take a look at the story of a terrible sea monster. The story begins in a place at the North Pole, where we see two scientists named Julia and Oscar. They were doing some research by making some kind of explosion underwater. But just then, they got a phone call warning them of a big storm, and they were asked to leave the place immediately. So the two of them started packing their things. Meanwhile, we see a submarine under the sea where a research team is researching the seabed. But suddenly, they see that the water at the bottom of the sea is strangely rising upwards. Meanwhile, the scanner that Julia had installed was suddenly behaving strangely, and suddenly the ice around them started cracking. So Oscar wanted to quickly explode the bomb and complete his task. Meanwhile, realizing the danger, Julia wanted to quickly take their things and escape, but they didn't have time at all, because the ice started breaking so fast that if they were here, they would sink under the ice. So Oscar quickly pulled Julia to their snow bike, and the two of them tried to escape from there quickly. But the ice was breaking and coming very close to them, and the bombs that Oscar and Julia had dropped into the water for their research suddenly started blasting. And since they had come up very high in the water flow, the explosion of the bomb created a huge tsunami there. Due to this, their base camp went completely underwater, and everything around was completely destroyed. Julia was very scared and cried there. And before they knew it, the two of them were submerged under the tsunami waters. On the other hand, the submarine also came close to the place with an explosion. As a result, the submarine received a huge shock from the water current. As a result, the entire submarine was shaking completely. It seemed that the submarine would explode right now. So everyone inside the submarine got very scared. They were trying hard to survive here. But within a while, they all realized that something inside their submarine was repeatedly pushing. As a result, a lot of pressure was being created inside the submarine. And slowly, the various engines of the submarine were being destroyed, and various parts of the submarine were being broken and shattered. In fact, as a result of the explosion of the research here, a very terrible creature had awakened, which had been sleeping for more than 1,000 years. Now, as a result of the attack of that creature, the entire submarine was completely destroyed. As a result, the submarine sank completely into the depths of the sea. And later, no trace of the submarine and anyone in the submarine could be found.
Now we see an American Navy commander. His name is Grubb. Grubb received a notice today, from which he learned that the submarine that went on their last mission was lost in the North Pole. And that submarine and any people on the submarine were not found. Grubb was completely surprised to know that, because their mission was done so securely that there was no question of the submarine being lost. So he signed a special assignment here so that the submarine is searched with the utmost care and what actually happened to the submarine is verified. Now on the other hand, we see a commander named Victor. Victor is the leader of the search mission that Navy Commander Grubb has signed for. Victor is going to search for the lost submarine with his entire team today. Now their deputy commander, Gonskope, gives the order to start the submarine after checking everything. As a result, their journey to the depths of the sea begins in a short time. However, when the submarine was on the sea, Victory and Gonskope came to the submarine and checked the weather. Is the sky condition good? They observed and found that the weather condition is very good. So Victor then started taking the submarine to the depths of the sea. And when they successfully went to the depths of the sea, Victor told the crew in the submarine to look for the submarine's gas in the sea, because there must have been submarine gas in the seawater before. So by following that gas, they can easily find the submarine. Now we see the situation in the North Pole again, where it is seen that Julia and Oscar are still alive. They somehow got out of the tsunami storm, and now they are looking for the rest of their team members. But there were no people around. So while searching for them, Julia finds a trekking book there, through which various locations and information in the sea can be found. On the other hand, we see Victor's submarine. When the crew in the submarine was checking everything around, they were very scared by one thing. That is, there are a lot of whales in the place where they have now come, which could be risky for their submarine. Moreover, it was a bit unusual for so many whales to be together at the depth they are now in. Now, to avoid any major accident here, Victor tells the crew to take the submarine deeper into the sea, so that the whales cannot attack their submarine. The crew then slowly starts taking the submarine deeper into the sea. But because there are a lot of whales around, they are having some problems, because their submarine was colliding with the whales. So Victor tells everyone in the submarine to play the siren, so that the whales get scared by the sound of the siren and go away. And when the crew does this, it also works for them. The whales immediately move away. Then they slowly brought the submarine into the depths of the sea. But this did not end the problem, because as the submarine went deeper into the sea, everyone inside the submarine could hear strange sounds. And after a while, a roar was heard so loud that their submarine shook completely. No one understood what the sound was, but after a while, they found the existence of something huge around the submarine. Then, after observing for a while, they realized that it was actually a monster-shaped mythological creature, which is called the Kraken. This creature had become extinct from the world. However, the existence of this creature is found somewhere in books about the world and biology, but no one on Earth has ever seen this creature. So this matter was unbelievable to Victor and his entire team. Victor then urgently asked his team to move the submarine from that place, so that the Kraken would not sense their presence in any way. The emergency signal was turned on in the entire submarine. Now they slowly tried to move their submarine from that place. But now the place where they were was almost covered with a layer of ice. That is, there was ice up to this depth in the sea. They then found no way and put the submarine into the ice. The submarine then broke the ice and moved a lot inside. At first, there were many problems with the submarine's engine. Now they came to the middle of a huge ice floe, and here they somehow stopped their submarine. Victor then slowly asked to take the submarine into the depths of the sea.
Now we see the situation above the sea. This was the place where scientists came for their research. But now there are many bodies lying around, because they died after being crushed under the ice. On the other hand, the submarine had a kind of camera, which Victor sent his team to the ice sheet so that he could check the situation here. Because many scientists had come here for research, if they found anyone here. So when Victor was checking around with that camera, he saw Julia and Oscar there. He was very happy, and he asked his team to take the submarine to the top so that they could bring Julia and Oscar with them. Now in a while, it was seen that the submarine came up through the ice. Then some team members of the submarine went to Julia and Oscar. Julia then told them that there were two geologists conducting research and were trapped here. Julia told them all the events that happened here, that how the ice here started to collapse, and suddenly due to the increase in the sea level, their research bombs exploded. Hearing this, Victor realizes that this is the place from where the submarine had disappeared on a mission. Now the entire submarine team takes Oscar and Julia into their submarine. Then they decide to search for the missing submarine again. So when Victor was about to start their mission again, Guskov came and stopped him, and he asked Victor to first report to the head office. At the bottom of the sea, they saw the monster-shaped mythological creature Kraken. He must report this to the head office because that creature is so huge that it can swallow their entire submarine. It can also kill them, and once they are in big danger, they will not have time to send a signal to the head office. But Victor did not want to make a big deal of it. He did not even want to delay completing the mission. Because the submarine that was lost had his older brother on board. His older brother is the commander of the submarine. His name is Alex. So Victor wanted to continue the mission anyway. Victor then told everyone that they had come a long way from that creature, so they had to continue their mission, because the lives and deaths of many people depend on their mission. Maybe there is a problem with their submarine and they are waiting for their help at the bottom of the sea. Now since Victor was their leader, they all have to obey Victor's words. Now after a while, everyone starts the submarine again, and slowly they take the submarine to the deepest of the sea. Then they start searching for the lost submarine again. They were moving forward by following the map inside the submarine, but after going a little far, it is seen that a very loud noise starts coming from the front, hearing which they all get very scared. And after a while, it is seen that the soil at the bottom of the sea starts mixing with the water. Now when everyone notices this, they see that that terrible creature, that is the Kraken, is behind them, and that Kraken is chasing their submarine. Seeing this, they all get very scared. Victor then ordered all their crews to quickly put the submarine in the middle of an ice floe from where the Kraken cannot see their submarine. So while everyone was busy hiding the submarine, they saw that there was an oil mine under the sea, and the Kraken was actually going to attack that place. Now when the Kraken moved a little to the side, they took their submarine to the middle of an ice floe. Now when the Kraken moved a little to the side, they felt a little relieved. They thought that the Kraken might have gone. Then they quickly took their submarine to the middle of an ice floe and hid it.
On the other hand, we see the oil mine in the sea, where several people were working. So when a person was looking out through the glass there, his soul was completely shaken with fear, because he saw that their entire submarine was surrounded by the Kraken. And this one limb of this Kraken was so huge that they were completely shocked to see it. Now in an instant, the Kraken started attacking the oil mine. He was completely destroying the oil mine. As a result, the glass there broke and the seawater started entering there. Meanwhile, Kraken completely twisted the entire oil mine. And since there was oil there, the entire place exploded completely. As a result, everyone working there died. Meanwhile, Victor and his entire team could see everything through the camera in Victor's submarine. How Kraken destroyed this huge oil mine. They realized here how powerful and terrible Kraken really is. The creature they had only read about in books until now is really in front of them today. They could not imagine that there are such big creatures in the world. Now before they could understand anything, Kraken saw them and started chasing them again. Everyone got very scared and turned the submarine around again. But since Kraken was huge, he was attacking the submarine with his tail from a distance. This made the submarine start shaking. Everyone was very scared. Guskov then came to Victor and said that all this happened for victory. So now everyone should do what he says. Guskov then told the crew to launch the submarine's torpedoes and to attack Kraken. Now in a moment, under the command of Victor and Guskov, the crew quickly set the torpedo position, and they immediately launched the torpedoes without delay. Then it was seen that the two torpedoes went straight to Kraken and exploded. Everyone came there and started celebrating, because they thought that the Kraken was dead. But even after such a big oil mine explosion, would the Kraken die only through torpedoes? But everyone was very relaxed here this time. At that time, Guskov started talking to Victor again. He told him that he was not worthy of being the leader here, because he could not make a right decision as a leader. Because of him, everyone was going to die today. From now on, he would command everyone, because he made an emergency decision and killed the Kraken, which Victor could not do. But in an instant, Guskov's confidence was shattered, because a crew member shouted that Kraken was still moving. Nothing had happened to it yet. Guskov then asked to launch torpedoes again. This time when 2 torpedoes hit Kraken again, Kraken was not doing anything. Kraken was moving just like before. All the crew members were very scared and they asked Guskov to give them the next command. But Guskov himself was now completely confused. What should he actually tell the crew to do now? And since Guskov had insulted Victor, Victor deliberately kept quiet. And he realizes that giving command to the whole team is not that easy. So Victor then takes command again. Victor then tells all the crew members that they will not be able to attack and kill the huge monster. So they should try to escape from here, because there is no use in attacking this Kraken. The crew members then try to escape by increasing the speed of their submarine. But even then, at one point, the Kraken hits the submarine so hard that a part of the submarine is damaged and the entire submarine is hit so hard that everyone in the submarine falls down. And when Victor gets hit on the head, his head explodes. As a result, Victor falls unconscious there in an instant. Meanwhile, several electronic devices of the submarine break and become damaged. As a result, short circuits start to occur inside the submarine. The submarine loses control and starts to sink to the bottom of the sea. And in a while, the submarine hits the ground under the sea and hits it very hard. As a result, the submarine's engine stopped working. And the Kraken was repeatedly hitting the submarine with its tail. This scared the submarine's crew members a lot. They quickly turned on the emergency signal there. At the same time, they were also trying to send a signal to the head office. But now the signals were not working at all. Meanwhile, the submarine was surrounded by Krakens from all sides. The submarine fell right in the middle of the Krakens. On the other hand, just then, a fire broke out in the engine room of the submarine. This made the situation even worse. Everyone started thinking that there was no way for them to survive. Because if the engine room caught fire and the engine was destroyed, then they would not be able to return with their submarine. Meanwhile, when one of the crew was trying to send a signal, he heard such a loud noise outside through his headphones that he lost consciousness after hearing the sound.
On the other hand, Victor regained consciousness. Victor quickly came to the control room and he ordered his other crew to go to the engine room with fire extinguishers as soon as possible and at least try to put out the fire, because many people's lives were at stake here. Meanwhile, the fire had also spread to the torpedo room, and if the torpedoes caught fire once, all the torpedoes would explode. That's why some crew members quickly went to the engine room with fire extinguishers, but by then the fire had increased a lot, so the crew could not enter there properly. Even then, they risked their lives and went inside and tried to control the fire with fire extinguishers. But in the meantime, the fire had reached the torpedo room from the backside, and due to the fire in the torpedo room immediately exploded. As a result, many crew members were injured there. However, those who were still safe somehow managed to get inside and used fire extinguishers on all the areas of the fire. Then, they pulled out the injured people who were lying there and immediately locked the place and sealed it very well. As a result, the fire was gradually brought under control. Now that the situation has calmed down a bit, all the injured crew members are brought to the restroom. Then everyone in the submarine starts their treatment, and the submarine has already kept various treatment items so that they can use them in any emergency situation. Now we see scientist Yulia there. Yulia was helping the medical team here the most because she has a very good idea about medicine. So she was treating each crew member. In this way, Yulia works for almost several hours. Since Victor was injured today, he was sitting in a room and resting. But after a while, Julia comes to him. Julia then tells Victor that they should really stop this vision now because she has seen with her own eyes how big the Kraken is roaming in the middle of the sea. So, does she think that the submarine is still there or that any people in the submarine are alive? She doesn't think so at all, but she thinks that no one is alive in that submarine. Hearing this, Victor felt very sad because he was very worried about his brother Alex. At that time, a submarine team arrived there and they told Victor that a strange signal was being heard in the control room. But what kind of signal it was not clear. Hearing this, Victor ran to the control room and he tried to understand the signal with headphones in his ears. Although nothing was clearly understood in the signal, still, Victor told everyone here that he was completely sure this signal was sent by his brother Alex. Surely their submarine is still safe and they are alive.
Otherwise, why would the signal suddenly come here? Victor then told everyone to continue the rescue mission, but now no one wanted to listen to Victor because everyone was afraid for their lives. Every moment of this place is like fighting with death. So, everyone wanted to end the mission here and go back. But Victor then addressed everyone and said, "Do you remember when we come to work in the Navy, we all take an oath and we promise that we will always be steadfast in our duty. Even if our lives are lost, we will never give up. So the mission we have been sent on now is also a big responsibility on us. So how can we deny this duty out of fear for our lives? Just think about it. We are stuck in the deepest part of the ocean, where terrible monsters like Kraken are roaming around, and there is no way to return since our submarine is also not working. So we are waiting for help from our team, but no one is coming to save us. Slowly we have started dying in the depths of the ocean. Then how will that moment feel to you? This is exactly what is happening to those who are stuck in that submarine. Now tell me, will you step back from your duty out of fear for your life? Or will you take on the responsibility and save people's lives?" Hearing these words from Victory, everyone became very motivated and they all started the rescue mission again in full swing. After setting up everything properly in the submarine's engine, the crew started moving forward with the submarine again. Victor was very happy with everyone because they all kept their word.
This time, the submarine went about 1,000 meters deep in the sea. The crew members then told Victor that they had reached the very last limit of their submarine, because 1,000 meters is the maximum limit of their submarine. So now they will not be able to go deeper than that. However, since they have now reached the maximum limit, it can be seen that the water pressure that was falling on the submarine is causing problems in various parts of the submarine. Even the pressure is causing various nuts on the submarine to come loose. So Victor then asked to take the submarine a little higher, so that it is slightly less than the maximum limit. However, at that time, a crew member named Peter said that they have now reached an underwater ravine, which is basically a huge ditch, and the depth of the ditch is much more than 5,000 meters. They are now right at the top of the ditch, and looking at the ditch, it was clear how deep it can be. So Victor then tells the crew to turn off the submarine's engine and keep the submarine afloat here. He himself will now wear a special suit and get out of the submarine, and he will go into that shaft alone and find out if the submarine is there. Everyone is very surprised by Victor's words, but Victor is their leader and they accept his words. The submarine was stopped at that place. Then Victor called a boy named Ukki to him and he told him to get him ready for diving. Because it was his job, this time Victor was ready in a very short time. Then he was going to get out of the submarine to dive into the sea. But at that time, Ghostscope told Victor that what you are doing is not right at all. I don't think that the submarine is still okay, because every submarine has a pressure limit. And I think that the submarine is lost in a deep ditch. And you know that the deeper the submarine goes into the sea, the more the water pressure on the submarine increases. So if that submarine sinks here, then if it goes down to 5,000 meters, the submarine is supposed to be destroyed. Still, do you want to dive to this depth? Think again. It can also cost you your life. But Victor then wanted to check everything once, and at that time, Ukki told him that he also wanted to go with Victor. He would never push one of his companions alone in such great danger. Then Ukki and Victor got into a special boat on their submarine that had everything for rescue. This time, they took the boat down to the depths of the trench where there was nothing but darkness. However, they could see around because of a special light in the boat. So searching like this, they came to a depth of about 1,700 meters in the trench, but even at this depth, nothing much could be seen. Victor then asked to increase the depth gradually. This time, when they reached a depth of about 2,000 meters, they could see several things from a distance. Then when they slowly got closer, they saw that there were many abandoned ships lying around here, even several submarines. This made Victor and Ukki realize that many ships and submarines have been lost in this place so far. And I don't know how many people have died here. But they were most surprised by one thing. That is, they saw the wreckage of the Titanic ship in this place. This made them realize how far they had come by submarine. They went to the place where the Titanic sank. However, they could not see any submarine around. It looked like it had sunk recently. Everything here was very old and abandoned. Victor then asked Ukki to take their boat deeper, because it could be that the submarine had fallen into an empty space and it had gone deeper to the bottom. He also did as Victor said. When they went another 1,000 meters deeper, they saw something like a new submarine that did not look abandoned. Then after getting a little closer, they were sure that this was the submarine they were looking for. Victor was very happy because finally his idea came true. The submarine was still completely intact. So Victor and Uki didn't waste any time here. Uki was very expert in driving the boat they were on now, and he was trying to attach their boat to the submarine. Although it was very difficult for them at first, but Uki attached their boat to the submarine in a short time with his skills. Then Victor and Uki Allgregate opened the door of the submarine together, and they entered the submarine. However, although they could open the top lid of the submarine, there was another lid inside, so the two of them tried to open that lid as well. Slowly they loosened the nuts there, and after trying for a long time, they were able to open that lid. And after opening the lid from there, they saw that there were still several people alive inside the submarine. However, almost a large part of the submarine was submerged in water, and those who survived were trying to survive with great difficulty. Seeing this, Victor felt like he was coming back to life, because he saw that his brother Alex was also here. It was as if all his hard work had now paid off. Meanwhile, Alex and his companions were also very happy to see them. They could not have imagined that someone would come to save them in such a deep sea. On the other hand, when Victor and Uki delivered the news to their submarine that they had found the lost submarine and that the crew members were still alive, everyone in Victor's team was overwhelmed with happiness, and they all started rejoicing there because finally all their hard work was going to be successful. On the other hand, Victor and Uki wasted no time and quickly started bringing the crew members of that submarine up and transferring them to their special boat. But that special boat also had a limit of people. So when they slowly transferred half of the people in the submarine to that boat, the boat was completely full. There was no room for another person to get on there. So Victor then tells Uki that he should get them all to their submarine and come back as soon as possible. He, his brother Alex and the rest will wait for him until then. He then agrees to Victor's words. He then leaves for their submarine with half of the people. However, before leaving that place, Uki installs a location tracker on that submarine, which was inside their boat, so that he can easily reach this location a second time. But a crew member named Reno who is there asks him to turn off that location tracker. He says that none of us know what happens in the depths of the sea. Maybe a water current or a creature can push the location tracker away. In this way, when Uki comes here next time, he may go to the wrong location like this. So Uki then turns off the tracker as Reno said. Then they go straight to that submarine.
Meanwhile, Victor and the rest were waiting for the Wookiee to return. Now Alex tells Victor that they have seen a huge Kraken around them. So the Kraken must be around them, therefore they need to prepare in advance before any danger occurs. Alex then asked Victor to go with him to their weapon room, where they have several weapons, especially they have a plasma weapon, with which they might be able to destroy the creature. Now Victor and Alex are ready to take the preparation. Victor starts going to their weapon room with Alex. However, the whole place was completely filled with water. On the other hand, finally Wookiee took everyone to their submarine. Then everyone was helping all the crew members to enter the submarine. Many crew members were injured here again, so emergency treatment was arranged for them there. However, after all the crew members were brought inside, Julia got very scared when she couldn't see Victor. And when she came to know that Victor was still in that submarine, besides there were still many other people in that submarine, then Julia also got very worried. Because then they would have to conduct their mission once again, and there was no guarantee whether they will succeed again. On the other hand, it is seen that the Kraken is around them, and that Kraken is trying to feel the sound around it. Meanwhile, Wookiee was leaving for the rescue again, without wasting time here. But this time Oscar and Renee both want to go with them. This time the three of them start their journey together. But when they come down 1,000 meters, just then they hear a terrible roar. Wookiee realizes that it is the sound of the Kraken. That is, the Kraken is around them. On the other hand, Goscoop and his entire team also heard the sound, so they started checking with their monitors, and in a while they saw that the Kraken had come right in front of their submarine, and in a while Kraken would attack them. So Goscoop then told them all that they had no time to wait for anyone now. If they survived, they would wait for them. So they had to go back right away, otherwise their death was certain here. If the Kraken attacked their submarine, it would create pressure in it, As a result, water would start entering the submarine. Everyone realized that Goskop was right, so they all tried to move their submarine together. Meanwhile, when Kraken T was moving there, a large stone on his body fell on their submarine. This caused the entire submarine to shake completely. Problems also started to appear in the submarine's electrical lines. At the same time, the pressure on the submarine suddenly increased in such a way that water started entering through various parts of the submarine. Everyone was very scared. Meanwhile, everyone in the submarine was trying their best to stop the water, otherwise their submarine would sink. On the other hand, Ukita and his companions reached the submarine. But unbeknownst to them, the location tracker on their boat was turned on. As a result, it started giving signals continuously there, and the power of that signal was reflecting in the seawater, which the Kraken could understand, and it was attracting the Kraken. So the Kraken started coming towards that signal. Meanwhile, Goskop and his entire team thought that Kraken T had left there, so they got a big opportunity to leave that place. Goskop ordered the entire team to take the submarine to the surface as much as possible. But Julia did not want that at all, that they would push Uskri and the rest of their companions to their deaths and leave. But they have no other choice. On the other hand, when Wookiee and his entire team were about to rescue everyone in the submarine, they saw that the Kraken was near their boat. This scared them a lot. On the other hand, Victor and Alex had reached the weapon room of their submarine. But at that time, Alex told his brother Victor that they would have to crawl through the hall here and go inside. But they could activate the plasma weapon here. On the other hand, Oki had attached their special boat to the submarine and was trying to get the crew members there on board as quickly as possible, because the Kraken could attack their boat at any time. The sound of the Kraken could also be heard here, so everyone here was quite scared.
On the other hand, Alex and Victor reached the plasma weapon through the hull. Alex then started giving Victor instructions to activate the weapons, and he started telling him to do everything quickly. But at the time, Alex got very scared because he could hear the sound of the Kraken around their submarine, which was a very loud sound. Hearing the sound, it was understood that the Kraken was coming towards them. Now, realizing the danger signal, the Wookiee quickly brought everyone inside and quickly closed the lid there. But by then, the Kraken had completely surrounded them from all sides. On the other hand, water was continuously entering the weapon room. The situation had now become very bad. Alex then quickly asked Victor to activate the plasma weapon. Meanwhile, Kraken T started attacking their submarine. As a result, the submarine was shaking violently. Despite many attempts, Victor could not activate the plasma weapon because his hand was shaking a lot. However, after many attempts, Victor could press a button there. In this way, their plasma weapon was activated within a short time. Meanwhile, Kraken T came very close to them. But fortunately, the plasma weapon started its work right then. And it was such a powerful weapon that Kraken's entire body was completely torn apart. And the reaction of the plasma weapon went completely outside of space. So due to the power of such a powerful weapon, the Kraken finally died there. But even then, their danger was not over yet, because at that moment, Alex saw that the automatic distraction system of the submarine was also activated due to the activation of their plasma weapon. That is, the submarine would also be destroyed in a short while. So Alex was very worried about Victor here, because Victor was still in the weapon room above. Alex then told Victor to come down quickly, and by that time Victor had come down. But now this whole place was filled with more water, especially the route through which they entered here was now almost completely underwater. Meanwhile, the timer for the submarine to be destroyed had started. However, Victory and Alex somehow came to the door of the submarine and they started climbing up the stairs there. Meanwhile, the submarine was completely sinking. But before that, the two brothers somehow got into the Yuki boat and they quickly locked the door of their boat. Now when they were about to start it from their boat, they found that their connecting hatch was stuck with the submarine. Meanwhile, the submarine was only a few seconds away from being destroyed. So everyone on the boat was creating pressure inside the boat. Now at the very last stage, their boat somehow moved away.
and immediately the submarine exploded. But here it is no longer clear whether the victors are alive or dead. On the other hand, it was seen that Guskov and his entire team had come to the surface. The place was completely safe, and they were all waiting for their rescue ship here. This time, Julia wanted to see if the ship was coming with a telescope, but at the time she saw that their submarine's special boat was visible in the distance. Julia was completely overwhelmed with happiness. Then they all started celebrating there. Now finally, Uki and Victor reached their submarine with everyone. After all this, everyone was very happy, thinking about one thing. They were able to save everyone. Now one by one they all entered their submarine and then they started their journey back home. After a while, Victory and Guskov were standing together on the submarine. They were observing the weather here. However, looking at Guskov, it was clear that Victor was ashamed of his behavior with Guskov because he asked Guskov to stop the rescue work, but Victor went against him and carried out the rescue work, so many people's lives were saved today and even a terrible monster like the Kraken was destroyed. So the story ends here with such a beautiful ending.
Don't forget to tell me how you liked today's story by commenting below the video. See you in the next new video. Until then, everyone stay well and healthy. Allah Hafiz.